let's get started. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us. My name's Peggy McCooey, and I'm the graduate director responsible for these programs: Computer Information Science, Information Technology Leadership, Economic Crime Forensics, Instructional Technology Management, Analytics, and Cybersecurity. And it sounds like a lot, which it is, but there is overlap within a lot of these programs, so that's why they kind of fit nicely together. My email is mccooey@lasalle.edu, and that is directly to me, and I do respond. And that is my direct phone number, 215-951-1136. I work with an admissions counselor for these programs named Max McEwen, and Max is the person that will help you with any of the pieces that you need to complete for the application. If there's a question that you have and Max can't answer it, then he'll usually reach out to me. And if there's any specific questions related to content, then he usually sends them over. So he and I work very closely together to have applicant packets completed and get people on target for what they want to do to meet their professional goals. What you're going to find about these programs, which is one of the reasons why we have such overlap, is that they come from more of an interdisciplinary format. They're not really just focusing on one area. They overlap within different disciplines and pull in different components. What's nice about our program for most folks is they are offered in an online format, but as part of that format, they do include some synchronous sessions, very similar to what we're doing here. That allows for collaboration between the students and the faculty, and it also allows for the students to work together in a more distance format, especially when they're in different geographical areas. Our format has changed from the traditional semester. We are on a 3-cycle calendar, so we run classes fall, spring, and summer, but our programs are offered in what we call terms. So instead of taking 2 courses together over 16 weeks, what we do is have you focus on one course for 8 weeks, complete that one, and then move on to the next one. So normally students will take 2 classes in the fall, 2 in the spring, and then in the summer, based on what they're taking, they'll usually take 1 session but overlap the courses. Some students elect to take only 1 course over the summer, and what that usually does is push their program out maybe 1 semester. But if students complete their courses within the pre-described format, they can usually complete their program between 5 and 6 semesters. When we look at the faculty in these programs, all of the faculty are either academically or professionally qualified, and many are practitioners in the actual area. And as I said, by taking 2 courses every semester, you can complete usually in 2 years or less. Some of the programs are fewer courses than others, and that's why you can complete in 5 semesters as opposed to 6. We offer certificates in many of these programs that are subsets of the actual full degree, and these can be completed in 1 year. And the other advantage that you have with these programs is because of the mingling of the coursework and the interdisciplinary approach, you're going to find that there's many different students experienced in different areas, and that really plays strongly into the education and into the background. I'm not going to go through, that's why I was asking which programs everyone was interested in. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the ones that do not include students interested in that information, but I just want to give you kind of a broad overview. The Computer Information Science program is designed for folks who want to develop applied applications, and it's broken up into a series of management courses for software development along with programming sequences. Students also complete a capstone, and that's either an applied development or some type of research involving their development. Most of the students in this program have a programming background, and if not, they take a programming course to develop the programming background. These are the really technical folks within the group. The full degree is 30 credits, which is 10 courses, but if they need foundation, then it might increase the number of courses they need to take. The Information Technology Leadership is a program designed for students who want to manage large technology programs or technology projects. They develop 3 major competencies in management, technology, overview, and management of technology. They also have electives which allow students to focus their studies either in more technology areas or on management areas, depending on what their professional goals are. Like the other course, and you're going to see this in all of our programs, they do have a capstone. And the capstone is an integrative research where they propose a problem, a real-world problem that needs to be solved. They investigate the possible solutions and then propose a solution. Quite often the capstones for a lot of these programs involve something within the student's professional activity. This one is actually 12 courses in length, and this one would require the 6 semesters to finish. For the instructional technology management, this one is geared for students who wish to develop corporate training. So it does look a little bit at the technology component, so these students will have some overlap with the information technology management, but they're more involved in usability, principles of instructional design, assessment and evaluation of training to meet a certain goal. Some of these folks will take coursework in looking at cultural issues involving different areas, especially in a global organization, and also developing contracting components. And just like the others, we have a capstone, but this capstone has the students develop some type of training module that can be used either to highlight what they've done or in some type of activity they're involved with. Now, the economic crime forensics is actually a mesh of computers and criminal justice and our fraud and accounting component. The program developed as an extension of our original fraud and forensics accounting certificate. And that program was intended to provide students with additional coursework over and above what they would need to become a certified fraud examiner. The students were finishing a lot of the accounting requirements as far as investigation goes and asked for additional material to round out their studies. So what we did is include some of the more criminal justice involved areas which had to do with litigation support, rules and legal concepts involving corporate fraud and white-collar crime, and included information regarding information security, computer targeting of digital media, and depending on the elective they take, they may involve more in data analysis through our data mining course. This one likewise has a capstone, and most of these capstones look at options that are happening within the student's professional program or their professional activities, and then suggest scenarios for best practices. This one is 12 courses in length, and again can be completed in 6 semesters. For the analytics curriculum, this is slightly different, and this one is more involving analysis of big data. So the students look at the way to bring their data together, how to clunk it in chunks that can then be analyzed through statistical tools. We do not assume a background in statistics. We assume that the students will need a more solid foundation, and then we look at ways to model the results of the statistical analysis. Students look at ways to visualize their information and then develop a capstone project which talks about a specific question or problem they're trying to answer. This program is 10 courses in length, and students usually would start in the fall. They can come in during the other semesters, but it will take them 5 semesters to complete. For the cybersecurity program, we do not assume a technical background, so we try to prepare the students for an overview of the security information they need. So they'll take information involving computer and internet fraud and crime, ethics and issues with government regulations, an overview of cybercrime, cyber warfare, and espionage with a little bit of history, their information security course, and they take a course in leadership assessment. Then for their technical sequence, to get a little bit more in depth, this program actually marries some more management type components with investigative components. So what they will take is the 540, the Cyber 540, which really, that should say network and network theory. It looks at the overview of the components of the internet. It looks at how you secure your software development, what kind of pieces you put in place and testing you put in place to make sure that folks aren't getting in by holes that were left by your developers. We look at computer digital forensics, which literally pulls the information from a hard drive and finds things there that you wouldn't expect. It does a little bit on mobile forensics and also on digital photo image forensics. With the computer network security, we look at ways to actually harden, which means prevent folks from infiltrating your area and pulling together it not only on the network but also on the computer, so that you strengthen those components of infiltration for your system. These students likewise complete a cybersecurity capstone, and this will look again either at some pitfalls or some suggestions that have come up within their professional activity and how we resolve that component. This program by itself is 10 courses in length and may be completed in the 5-semester format. Now, the other things that we have, as I mentioned earlier, are certificates for many of these programs. And the certificates are actually graduate courses that allow you to get a feel for the online environment in a year. And the way it's set up, if you begin during one of the semesters, you can roll right into the other semesters and finish up your certificate. The numbering of some of the courses is not the same as the numbering in the actual program. So this Fraud and Forensics Accounting Certificate is tied to the Economic Crime Forensics program. And what students could do is complete their certificate requirements, and then if they desire to continue, they would simply say that at the time their certificate is issued, and we would roll them into the full degree program. The coursework that they complete within the certificate would be applied to the economic crime forensics. So you'd have 5 completed, you'd finish the other 7, and your degree would be issued. You get the certificate and the degree. We also have a certificate in cybersecurity. You notice that some of the references to the coursework are still ECF or CIS. That's the courses that are actually cross-listed in some of these programs. Beginning in the fall, the prefix for these courses will become CYB, the same as the cybersecurity degree program. So what this one does is mesh a little bit of the theoretical components with some of the hands-on components to develop the cybersecurity certificate. Again, like the other program, if you complete this certificate, all of this work will automatically flow into the full degree program, and you would complete the remaining 7 courses. I'm sorry, this one is 10. I have to keep my numbers straight. So you would complete the remaining 5 courses, and then you would also have the degree in cybersecurity. The last one that we have is a graduate certificate in instructional technology management. And this one requires that you take a total of 6 graduate courses. This program is 15, no, I'm sorry, it's 12 in length. So you would take 6 of them, and when you're done, you would complete the other 6 if you wanted to finish the degree. Now, originally this was set up so that you could take Principles of Instructional Design or the Adult as Learner. We still allow that option, but we strongly suggest that you take both. So within the program, if you took those 2 and then Project Management and Web Design Usability and Visual Literacy, you could then pick 2 electives from the remaining set of courses and complete your degree program. If you felt that you did not need both the Principles of Instructional Design and Adult as Learner, we do have within our catalog the ability for you to take one or the other and pick up a 3rd elective. In any case, the coursework that you would be completing would all be tied to the Instructional Technology Management degree program. So completion of that certificate would automatically allow you to move into the full degree program if that's what you desired. A little bit about our enrollment and application process. And Suzette, I don't know if this is the same for speech, language, and hearing. It might be slightly different depending on if you're looking at the postgraduate degree or if you're looking at the master's program. So you would really need to check with them to see exactly what the requirements are.
Sure.
Okay? But what you can do for anyone and for any of the programs that you're interested in, you can go to our website and look at the application process. It'll take you to an online application that you can fill out. And if you're interested in doing this, we suggest that you fill out the application because that helps us to keep track of where you're at and what you want to do. If during the application process or, you get halfway through it and you're like, okay, I don't know if I really want to do this, that's fine. You can simply let us know and we can either change your program, we can take you out of the system, or if you're not sure you're ready yet, we can always move your application out to another date and time. But at least we would have some of the materials on hand and we would know to reach out to you to see if you still wanted to consider some of the programs. We do require your transcripts. We need original copies of your transcripts and they're sent directly to the university. For these programs, we do ask for a resume and 2 letters of recommendation, and they can be submitted electronically. On the application, you'll be asked for the names of people that will provide a letter of recommendation for you, and we will send a notice to those folks asking them for that information. Once we receive those materials, then I schedule an interview. They're actually reviewed by the the admission committee, and they give me an idea as to where they're sitting with this. We'll schedule a telephone interview at that time just to make sure that what we're seeing and any questions that may have come out can be answered. And usually a decision is made during the telephone interview. Once the decision is made, then we talk about your enrollment and what courses we would suggest for the upcoming semester. We get all of that done, and then we provide you with information about orientation for the program. For the certificates, it's a slightly different process. For the certificates, we still need the transcripts and the resume, but we ask for an essay that describes how this certificate will help advance your professional goals. When those materials are in, if we don't see anything that looks questionable in the essay or the resume, then instead we simply send it to the admissions committee and they make a decision. We'll contact you about the decision and set you up for enrollment. Now, I want to describe a little bit what I mean by questionable. Sometimes I would get an application for a student whose background doesn't even slightly match what the goals of the certificate intend to do. And reading of the essay doesn't give me the idea that the student wants to move into that area. If something like that happens, you usually get a phone call. Just to make sure that we have you in the right program, that maybe you click something on the application that was not intended. And just make sure that what you really want to do is where you want to go. So don't be surprised even if you do apply for a certificate if you get a phone call. It's just validating what we have. Once the enrollment decision is reached, we will enroll you for the fall and spring semesters, and just like the other programs, we'll provide you with a semester guide as to what you should be taking when, orientation materials, and also set you up with the ability to access our systems. Now, we have different levels of acceptance. We have a regular, a conditional, and a provisional. Regular acceptance means we have everything in, you're in the right program, everything's fine, we're ready to move forward. With a conditional acceptance, we've completed all the steps. We're confident that you will do well in graduate education, but something's missing. It's usually something as simple as the essay's missing, or a letter of recommendation. Unfortunately, we can't grant a regular acceptance for that until we have all the pieces in place. So what would happen is we would offer you a conditional acceptance, and then once the other piece is received, we would switch that from a conditional acceptance to a regular acceptance. And you might ask, what's the difference? Well, with a conditional acceptance, there are some limitations as far as financial aid goes. If you're preparing to use some type of financial assistance, sometimes the financial aid office is not able to grant you that financial assistance because it's a conditional acceptance. Now, a provisional means that the review of the application packet by the admissions committee had some questions that they still were not comfortable with. It may be something like the academic profile and the letters of recommendation don't really support a strong background in analysis. So for an analytics student, we might suggest a provisional acceptance. And in that case, we would limit the number of courses you would take the first semester. If you were successful in those courses, then we would remove the provisional acceptance and move it into a regular acceptance. So conditional basically means something's missing. Provisional means we want to make sure that, we have you in the right program and that you will be successful. Again, the way our application process works, it does go on a rolling basis, which means that if you apply for one semester and you miss that, we might be able to get you into the next semester. If you miss the beginning of one semester, but we get all your things in during the first term, we can get you into the second half of the term. I have students that have applied January 1st and they say, can you get me in for the first term? And we were starting January 9th, and I really didn't feel comfortable with that because I didn't have everything. So after talking, we got everything together, and they're actually starting our second term, which is March 14th. So we do have movement, and as long as we have all the pieces in place, we're able to move you forward. And like I said, Max, who is my admissions counselor, is very attentive to any questions you may have or any materials. And he's also attentive to make sure that I get all these things to the admissions committee. So if I miss something, he's right on the phone. So he's really good at keeping me on my toes. Now, as far as the tuition and fees for the upcoming year, I don't have the exact printout. They have not been released to us yet. My understanding is that for this year, these are our fees. They're $8.75 per credit hour for CIS, IT leadership, analytics, cybersecurity, and the certificate in cybersecurity. For the economic crime forensics, it's $7.85 a credit hour, and for the fraud and forensics accounting certificate. And for the instructional technology management degree and certificate, it's $7.35. We were told to expect a slight increase in these fees. I don't know what that means. I need to be very honest with you. I have not been, they have not released what the fees will be, but I can tell you this, if they're going to change, it'll happen for the summer session. We do request a semester university fee, which is $135 every semester, and a technology fee, $75 for part-time and $150 for full-time. Most of you folks would be considered part-time, so I believe it would be $75. If you're taking more than 2 courses, then you would be considered full-time. We do have an employer deferred payment plan, which basically says that if your employer will support your education and they have a policy where they'll pay for your tuition after your grades are turned in, you can fill out the employer deferred payment plan form. There is a fee for it, but it basically allows you to pay for the course after it's completed. So we finish up, let's say, December 15th, you would have maybe until like January 10th, which gives you a chance to get your grades in and get it to your employer to get reimbursed. I'm not exactly sure what the day format is, the day calendar on that. You'd have to ask financial aid. The financial aid office, the first thing they're going to ask anyone considering that is, have you completed your FAFSA form? So there's 2 things that we need to have students do in order to work with financial aid. The first is fill out your FAFSA form, and the second is register for classes, because they can't do anything until they see what your registration looks like. And we talk about that as we go forward. We do use a learning management system at LaSalle. The one that we use is Canvas, and we do have a whole series of tools which helps you keep up to date on what your requirements are, where you're at, your progress. There are facilities available to help you with time management, with technology issues, with paper writing and research. You have also the use of our career services. If you live in the area and you would like to come to campus to use the recreational facilities, again, that's part of what you have as your component. So that being said, I'd really like to suggest that you keep in contact, visit our website for additional information, and fill out the online application. The transcripts that we would need can be sent directly to our office, and I'll make sure I make you aware of this. We're also hosting on March 29th, I think that's the date, a webinar on cyber warfare. So cyber warfare, cybercrime, is it myth or reality? So we would like to suggest that if you wish to join us, that you just sign up for the webinar. One of our faculty members will be going through a brief history of where we are and where we're headed. So that's just a little cue. We're going to try and do a couple more of them as we move through the semester. Oh, I hit the wrong key. Sorry. So that being said, what kind of questions do you have for me? You're more than welcome to just open up your mics and ask.
Peggy, this is Pete. If I was a graduate of LaSalle, in the case of a transcript, do I still have to obtain it and
No,
send it,
we would
or
get it. We would get it. No,
so
actually,
that's
the registrar is on the 3rd floor and the enrollment services is on the 4th. So they just send out the name and they pull it up.
so
So
is that something then Max would just
yes,
run down in
do
my
that.
case?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
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 What else? Anything else?
Thank you. This is sorry, Margaret. This is Suzette. Are there any prerequisite classes for the specific courses that are outlined?
Are there for the online courses? What we provide is a self-paced tutorial.
Okay.
Okay, so it's basically how to use the tools, how to get through things. There's an online class, but it's self-paced.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, for my students, my background is technology focused, and my students know that. So if something's going on and they can't get something to work, a lot of times I'll get a phone call or I'll get an email. And it might be something as simple as jumping in and maybe a link's not turned on or that something's been hidden. In other cases, if I get the phone call or the email, I can send them a set of directions, how to do what they need to do. To be honest with you, have you used any type of learning management system?
In a while. It's been a while.
Okay, I mean, if you've used Blackboard or Modal or any of them, they're all very similar. They're all very similar. We've just gone to Canvas because we've had a really good uptime with it. I mean, it goes down once in a while for maintenance, but they let you know ahead of time. They've been really stable. We like it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Oh, and by the way, this tool that we're using right now is the one that your faculty members would be using for any type of synchronous sessions they have. There's also available for the students. They have a GoToMeeting, which is what we're in right now. We have GoToMeeting and GoToTraining. Some of the faculty prefer the GoToTraining because they can share things easier with the class during the session. For these types of activities, I tend to use GoToMeeting, but students can get access to their own GoToMeeting accounts that they can use for collaboration.
One of the things I was wondering about is, are there scheduled class times for the classes, or at least a portion of the classes? Are there that are only kind of like live online?
Yes, there are. Depends on the teacher. But what happens is the syllabus is available a week before the class, and the teacher posts in the syllabus what those days and times are. Normally I know what the days and times are. Like there's one teacher, he's always on Thursday. There's another teacher, he's always on Tuesday. But the other piece of it, the faculty are aware that the students in the program are working professionals with work, family, other things going on. So they do encourage you to participate as often as you can. If not, they will record the session and make it available to you and maybe ask you to do a small exercise after you listen to it, such as write a synopsis or tell me what the outcome of the case was, something like that. So there are days and times. There may be some that are required. If, for example, you're asked to do a presentation of a case, you need to coordinate with the teacher what works for your schedule. But they're very understanding of other circumstances, and on the whole, they've worked with students who have had issues. I mean, I have students all over the place. I have one student who's in Africa. I have one in Australia. I have a couple in Texas. So this time difference thing that some people have going on. We managed to get around it. And I mean, like, probably the worst month is September, because you have a lot of people that have children in school and they're going to the school opening nights, and everybody seems to have been able to work around it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. And I don't think it'll be a problem. Actually, I kind of wanted to confirm that because I assume that's the way it worked.
Not all the teachers. Like myself, I teach in most of the programs, and I don't have a session every week. I'll have one every other week. Now, on the other hand, the students can turn around to me and say, you know what, we're really having trouble here. Do you think we could get together? And I can schedule a session. That's the nice thing about only taking one course at a time. All the days are open. So before, we would have to say, okay, this teacher's meeting on Tuesday, this teacher's meeting on Thursday. We can't have those two crossing over because they might be in both classes. Now it really opens it up. And in many cases, I've done one-on-ones with students that were having problems with some of the technical pieces, even like on a weekend, 5 or 10 minutes here, because it's amazing once you talk to someone and you get your thoughts confirmed or explained, it usually moves things along fairly quickly. Okay?
Thanks.
Not a problem. Anyone else? No? Okay. Well, that's really all I have for tonight, unless anybody has other questions. Okay. Well, then Max will be sending out an email tomorrow to everyone who participate. Suzette, I'll make sure that we get your name over to speech language hearing. Are you doing the pre-SLP, or are you looking for master's SLP?
I have to do the pre.
Okay. So you're looking for pre-SLP. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll get that over to them, and then they'll follow up with you.
Sure.
And I'm not sure what their application process, I know, is slightly different. So you're going to have to check with them. But I'll ask Max to follow up.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
This was a great presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Okay,
Anyone else? All right. Well, I hope I see your names coming across our list on our application components. And like I said, if anybody has any other questions, I will be presenting this information to you in a PowerPoint deck, and you're more than welcome to reach out to me or to reach out to Max.
Okay.
Thanks again. I hope you decide to join us at LaSalle. And Pete, I hope you come back. Come visit us again.
Yeah. I'm so old. It was a college back then.
Well, I hate to say it, but I went there too, and it was a college. So.
I saw that in your profile. It was 78. So.
Yeah. But they can still get the transcripts. That's the important thing.
Yeah. I just thought to myself, like, I guess I don't have to bother tracking it down. I wouldn't mind going to the place again, but
It's changed, let me tell you.
Oh, I know.
So, well, thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.